The research and the data will kind of help us, predict what's coming. The most important thing a buyer could do is look at the historical data. One of the worst things that you can do to hedge against inflation is rent a property. I think waiting is probably one of the worst mistakes that a buyer can make right now.
One of the most Googled words after real estate is actually real estate crash. When is the right time to buy? Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. What should I do? I think that's people get crazy and we all do, right? When you're gonna make a big decision. Hey guys, and welcome back to Black Belt in Real Estate. Super excited to have you here with us today. And today we're going to tackle, I think, one of the biggest questions all prospective buyers and investors have, and that is, when is the right time to buy a home? As usual, I brought in James Suarez, my mentor, king of real estate, here to kind of help sharing. So welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of pressure being the king of real estate.
Pressure is real here, yeah. And speaking of pressure, I mean, one of the most Googled words after real estate, it's actually real estate crash. So there's a big chance people out here listening, watching this show are concerned about that, and they're thinking, when is the right time to buy? Houses have gone up tremendously in LA in the last years. Is there a stop to that? Is the market going to crash? And what should I do? I think that's people get crazy and we all do, right? When you're going to make a big decision. So let's just address that first of all.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a big question. It's a question that I ask myself constantly. But then I do some research, right? Because the research and the data will kind of help us, predict what's coming. Again, none of us have a crystal ball, but we can use historical data to see what the trends of real estate are going to be in the future, right? Probably the number one reason why crash is Googled is because buyers are looking for opportunities, right? When are values going to come down? We've seen values continue to rise since about 2010, 2011. A normal real estate cycle is about every 10 years. So statistically speaking, right, we are due to a real estate cycle, right? Values have been going up. We thought values were going to start to decline in 2018, 2019. They continue to climb. The pandemic hit. We thought values were going to go down there, and then they skyrocketed up. So right now, again, the most important thing a buyer could do is look at the historical data, not read what's on, the negative news, right? But really look at the data, because even the stories that the news is putting out, like sales are going down, the way that that's portrayed could lead a buyer to think, oh, values are going to go down. No, values aren't going down, just the number of sales are going down because the demand is high and the inventory is low. And we can get into some of those statistics if you want.
Yeah, I just want people to, what you talked about, we're due for a crash or whatever. But last time we actually had a real estate crash. Can you just talk about that and what actually led to that compared to where we are now? Because looking at that point back in 2006, 7, 8, a lot of it was because of it was so easy to get a loan, right?
Right, we call those ninja loans, right? So first, I just want to bring some clarity. I didn't say crash, I said a cycle,
Yeah.
right? And every 10 years, the real estate market has cycled where values have gone up, and there's been a slowdown, and then they've gone back up, right? Well, in 2006, 2007, the crash did actually happen because of these ninja loans.
Yeah.
You didn't have to put any verification of how much money that you made, and you basically can get almost any loan that you wanted. And then once the equity continued to rise, let's just say you bought a property for $1 million and put nothing down, and then the values went up to 1.2, and then you took out 200,000 to go buy jet skis and take that Paris vacation, and buy that Porsche that you always wanted. And then when values dipped by 10%, right? They had no down payment in the home in the beginning, right? And they were short because they pulled out, 200,000, all of their equity to go play. So they let those houses go. But, the lending industry learned from their mistakes And now, especially starting off in 2010, 2011, you couldn't buy a home without 20 or 30% down. In fact, over 50% of homeowners in today's market have over 50% equity. So even if values did start to decline, which most experts are not predicting that they do, there's still so much cushion, so much equity that homeowners have that these distressed sales and these foreclosures, a seller would put it on the open market and walk away with their equity before they're going to give it back to the bank right now.
Yeah, and also I think Los Angeles is a different beast. Like demand here has always been super high, right? Can we just talk about that? And what do you think about like comparing Los Angeles market with other markets, so to speak?
Definitely. Well, first and foremost, I look at the macro and then I go micro, right? One of the things that we need to focus on are showing rates, right? Showing rates are a healthy statistic to know what is buyers' activity,
Yeah.
right? Do they want more showings or do they want less showings? And right now, and over the past decade, we've seen showing demand continue to increase. 2021 was the highest year of showing requests, and we believe 2022 is going to be even higher. In fact, Mike Simonson of Altos Data said that this spring market is probably going to be one of the most competitive markets ever in real estate. And I think we'll continue to see the demand continue to rise.
So let's cut to the chase. When is the right time to buy?
Right now. No, I mean, I say that jokingly, but I say that in some serious as well, because what do we know right now? We know right now that most experts are predicting that values will continue to climb, right? Supply and demand. The inventory is the lowest that it's ever been. In fact, in an area we serve in Westchester, we normally carry 60 or 70 listings. I looked yesterday, I believe there are 12 active listings on the market, and that's in our local LA market, but that's across the nation right now, right? Economics 101, supply and demand. Right now, the supply is low, and again, the showing rate tells us that the demand is through the roof and it doesn't seem to be weakening. The other reason to buy right now as well is because of interest rates, right? We do know that rates are going to continue to climb for the rest of the year, right? And if you allow rates to go up another point, it reduces your buying power by 10%. And that's important because it's better to buy now at, let's say, $1 million versus waiting a year from now and your buying power goes to 900,000. Because when we just look at, straight numbers, if the market appreciates in 2023, let's say by 10%, $1 million appreciates by, 100,000, 900,000 appreciates by 90,000. You just left $10,000 on the table by waiting, and your mortgage payment is higher.
Yeah, so looking at the monthly costs are also an important factor when buying.
Looking at all of the numbers, I have yet to see numbers that support not buying, right? Even right now, because of inflation, if there are renters out here that are watching this, one of the worst things that you can do to hedge against inflation is rent a property. Whereas one of the best things you can do is to purchase a home.
What I experienced working with a lot of buyers here in Los Angeles, that they're scared of overpaying. So how should we address that? And like what guidance can you give to people watching there? Like, hey, I really want to buy. I'm scared that interest rates are going up. I want to get into a market, but I just don't want to overpay.
Yeah, nobody wants to overpay. In fact, statistical speaking, the number one fear of a buyer is overpaying for a property. So how do you ensure that you don't overpay for a property? You work with a true professional, right? A lot of buyers may have a short-sighted, mindset. In fact, the best thing that comes to mind is they jump over the dollars to get to the pennies, right? They use discount agents, whether to get commission back or they think they're going to get the best deal through going through the listing agent, which is not true at all, because a listing agent's sole job is to get the highest value. But depending on which agent that a buyer selects, the value is going to could be a 10% different. So if a buyer is worried about overpaying for a property, then number one thing that they could do to combat that is to work with a professional like yourself that is in the trenches day in, day out, who has strategies on how to find the best deals, who networks with other agents to help build rapport and get some inside information when submitting an offer. That is by far the best thing a buyer can do to put themselves in the best position.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like this last couple of years, pandemic, a lot of people have made a lot of changes and there's a lot of unknowns out there. So in your opinion, how long do you think, like what time frame should you have for buying a property? Let's say you're not sure if you're going to stay in LA for more than 5 years. Should you still buy or should you rent? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think homeownership is one of the best financial moves anybody can make. Again, especially with inflation right now. If you're renting right now, you're just throwing money away, and you're losing even more because of inflation. Whereas when you buy a property, it's fixed, and it gives a buyer, or it gives a homeowner, a ton of options. Because if you were to move 5 years from now, you can keep the property and rent it out and start building a real estate portfolio. I said this in episode 1. 90% of millionaires made their millions in real estate by buying properties and then renting them out. I can tell you from experience, there's nothing better than what we call mailbox money, which is rent coming in from the properties that we own.
Just another little nugget that I want to talk to you about. When you go out and look for properties as a new buyer, sometimes you don't realize that being across the street from commercial space can affect the value, being on a busy road and things like that. What else can you think of that is good to be on the lookout if you're looking for a good investment?
Well, again, you just confirmed my point of making sure that you're working with a professional, because a professional will know the ins and outs of every area. For instance, in some of the areas we serve, there's the gas company, right? There's LMU, which is a local college. In that area, there are a lot of college rentals. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Neighbors, right, or Neighbors 2, but if you don't want that to be your story,
Yeah.
then it's important to look for things like that within a community, so that when you do make this investment, which is your number one asset, that you're buying in the best possible area and know the ins and out, and know if prices are appreciating or if there's a hindrance that's happening from values going up.
Looking at this year coming in low inventory, and I mean we're looking that some of the experts are saying that we're going to keep have a low inventory. And how do you think that will affect the market specifically here in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Well, I think Wells Fargo actually put out a report last week that said we're probably going to have inventory issues until 2025.
Yeah.
Which, again, economics 101, supply and demand, right? Right now, the demand outweighs the supply, and that will continue to have homes appreciate. That is the number one reason why values continue to appreciate, is the inventory. Right now, when we look at the absorption rate, which is the formula that agents use to determine what market we're in, right? It takes about a month to sell all of our inventory in most real estate markets, whether we're in Los Angeles or across the nation, which puts us in a very, very strong seller's market, which it makes it more difficult for buyers to get in. So again, going back to your question, when's the best time? Best time is, as soon as possible, as soon as a buyer is comfortable to move forward, so that they can continue to ride the wave of appreciating, versus waiting 6 months from now and probably having to pay 6% more for the same property and have a higher mortgage rate.
Right now, we have seen about 3 to 4 offers on or more, or even much more, on properties that are well priced in neighborhoods that are attractive. Do you think with the increased interest rate that the amount of offers is going to decrease, or what's your opinion in that?
The increase in interest rates are going to have several effects. One of the effects it's going to have, it is going to price out some buyers from being, in the price range that they were hoping for, but that just means that they're going to enter into a new price range. So I don't think we're going to see a decrease in the number of buyers. It also does affect a buyer's buying power, so it will have some effect on values. But when we go back the last 30 years, when we've seen interest rate increases, we've also seen on an average 8% of values increasing as well. And then if you go back from the last 5 recessions, actually I believe it's 3 or either 4 out of the last 5 recessions, the one being where values didn't increase was, the recession that was caused by the crash of the housing market. We've seen values increase. And then again, the inflation, right? The number one thing you could do against inflation right now is purchase a home. Let me just give you a quick statistic, right?
Yeah.
In 2021, the inflation went up, I think it was about 7%, whereas values went up about 19%.
That's crazy. And I know there are some people watching here now, they've been looking for a while, and now interest rates have gone up and their buying power has gone down. Let's say, just as an example, from $1 million to 900,000. What do you advise these people? Should you still be looking to buy just in a different area or a different type of property, or should you wait?
I think waiting is probably one of the worst mistakes that a buyer can make right now. And, they can go online and look for the crash and find, any and every article that supports the real estate market crashing, because they're going to hope that the values are going to go down, and they're going to hope that interest rates are going to go down so that they could get in. And probably 5 years from now, they're going to be kicking themselves just like they're kicking themselves now, wishing that they had got in 5 years ago. So, what I would say is, it is what it is. The past is the past. There's nothing you can do about it, right? All we know is what we can do today and for the future. And right now, Freddie and Fannie Mac, CoreLogic, National Association of Realtors are all predicting that values are going to continue to increase over the next 5 years,
Yeah.
right? We're still going to see these inventory shortages, which will help values continue to increase. And we probably will see an increase in interest rates as well. So, looking at all the data, looking at all the predictions, right? When you ask me when is the best time to buy without putting a lot of pressure, the time is now.
I think I'll end with the Chinese proverb: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So thanks again to you, James, for being on here, sharing, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you found some great value. If you have a friend, a family member, somebody that's looking to purchase in Los Angeles and there is on the fence, send them this show, give us a review, and make sure we can help more people get into the real estate game and start gaining equity and also enjoying your own home. Thanks again for watching Black Belt in Real Estate, and I'll see you next week. And in next week's episode, we're going to talk about how does selling a home work. If you're a seller right now, I think you'll truly enjoy this show and learn a lot on how you can maximize value and stay safe during the whole transaction. So thanks again, and talk to you soon. This is Peter Jumrukovski, and on behalf of me and James Suarez with the Suarez team, we would like to say thank you for watching Black Belt in Real Estate. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to earn your business. If you're curious on working with us, please reach out.